Runway 28 cleared for takeoff 664 Quebec Sierra.
Welcome to Sim UK. Today is going to be a gameplay review for Tower 3D Pro. What that means is I will play the game whilst reviewing it, and hopefully I'll be able to show you some examples along the way. Tower 3D Pro is the sequel to Tower 2011 Airport Tower Simulator. I will not be comparing the two titles. I will instead focus on Tower 3D Pro in its entirety and highlight its best and worst features. Tower 3D Pro was released on Steam on the 8th of March 2017, and at the time of making this video was priced at $29.99 and has at least 3 additional DLCs available, which could set you back an additional £28.58. There is also a non-pro version which will cost you $22.99, and we'll discuss the differences between the two in this video. Tower 3D Pro is available from Steam or directly from FeelThere's website. I'll leave a link in the description below. Via Steam, installation is very straightforward, and that's the version I'm using today. There was a slight issue during installation, but I'll discuss that with you a bit later on in the video. The minimum specs for this game are 64-bit Windows 7 Plus or above, 4GB of RAM or above. For the basic version, this is just 1GB, but you really, if you're going to buy this, you don't want to buy the basic version, and I'll explain why a bit later as well. This is only running on DirectX 10, so it's old technology, really. It will take up between 700MB and 1GB of hard drive disk space. In addition to the issue that I had during installation, there are some other concerns surrounding Steam, and I'll go into that a bit later as well. But primarily, both versions are effectively the same, but obviously the Steam version will receive automatic updates, and the other you'll have to install them manually. That's basically the major difference. So the default features for both are that you will receive 3 photorealistic airports, advanced AI pilots to follow your commands, we'll discuss that later, stunning 3D rendering of airports, I think that's a little bit boastful, we'll discuss that later as well. Runway assignments for arriving and departing aircraft may be changed, runway intersection takeoffs are simulated, advanced routing to and from the runways and terminals can be assigned, dynamic lighting and shadows, day-night cycles provide stunning visual experience. Live airport with service cars for airplanes and vehicle traffic around the airports. Now, the difference between the Pro version and the non-Pro version is, I think, incredibly significant. With the Pro version, you get all of the above, plus voice recognition and multi-monitor support, multiplayer, advanced ground radar, ADIRS, and much more complex commands. Now, you don't have to have the Pro version, and even if you do use that, you do not have to use voice recognition. But for me, the features available in the Pro version are what actually interested me to this title in the first place. And more importantly, I think it's what makes it worth playing. Let's have a look at the game options then. If we jump into settings, you can see everything's a bit limited, really, to be perfectly honest with you. It seems that most of the work has gone into the flight algorithms and less into the UI design and options. If we go into graphical settings here, you can see we've got resolution, full screen on or off, and render quality. Now, it's set to custom, and you've got low, medium, high, or custom, which is accessible down here via the advanced graphic settings. But again, it's pretty basic, to be honest with you, and if I'm being totally honest with you, I don't think it makes all that much difference if you change those settings anyway. One thing I will say to you, and this is a massive don't forget it, because if you do forget it, you'll be coming back to the menu pretty sharpish, and that's to bring your environment volume right down. For some reason, the environment volume, and that's birds tweeting in the background or the ocean waves crashing against the shore, are epically loud and constant, and it's just going to give you a headache immediately. So my advice is turn that down before you do anything else to make sure that you don't forget to do that. Now, prior to Service Pack 1, the environment volume and the sound effects, which basically relates to aircrafts, etc., they were combined. They were one sound effect volume. Thankfully, I never played this game before Service Pack 1, so I never experienced that, but that must have been an absolute nightmare. Happy to report that that has been changed and now these are separate. And basically, other than reducing the environment volume, everything else is pretty much okay. The only other addition is up here in the top left hand corner. You can see a little speaker icon. If I turn that on for a moment, you can hear that there's some audio, some music, background stuff. It's okay, but I think it's better without it, to be quite honest with you. So top right hand corner, we've got speech settings. Now if I just click this,
Hello.
Welcome
to Tower 3D.
That's what you're going to hear throughout the game. Now, during installation, I had a terrible issue getting this to work at all, and many other people have had this too. The people who struggle with this most appear to be those who have bought the game direct from FeelThere as opposed to via Steam. So I don't know if the issues are different or whether they're similar or in any way associated. But the issue I had basically left me with no pilot voices whatsoever, and voice recognition did not work at all. I tried many things. I went onto many forums. I've read many different solutions that people have found. I ended up reinstalling all the necessary components, even though they were already installed on my PC as part of Windows 10 already is. I downloaded free text-to-speech software programs and trial versions, all to no avail. Took me hours and hours and hours. The fix for me was to simply check the file integrity with Steam, and it turns out that there was a single file missing. As soon as that was replaced, everything started working perfectly. So that would be the first thing to check if you're experiencing problems such as that. Now, unless you have advanced text-to-speech software with perhaps multiple voices installed, then you will only hear one single voice, which is a bit of an issue because when the pilots speak to you, if there's multiple aircrafts on the tarmac at once, there's very little, if any, pause between them speaking, and sometimes it is very difficult to distinguish between when one sentence or when one pilot finishes and the next pilot begins to speak to you. So that can cause a few issues, confusion primarily. There are a few changes here. You've got male, female, actually random. Let's try random. I haven't tried that before. Let's try random, and I think we'll keep speed normal because I have tried the different speeds here. Slow is way too slow. Fast and everything above fast is probably okay, but you need to be playing this game for a little while to be able to cope with that kind of speed, I'd say. Right, so we're going to go random, normal. I haven't tried these before, so it could be interesting what happens there. That might help the issue that I just mentioned about the same single voice speaking to you, but we'll see. Let's hit apply, and that is that done. Statistics. This basically keeps track of everything that you've done. Down here, I think, are your successfully completed goals, and that's basically all there is. The rest of it is just about your personal achievements. Now, 32 takeoffs and 16 landings. That doesn't sound that much, actually, but I've spent about 2.5, 3 hours on this yesterday. And to begin with, I was extremely rookie. I started to get to grips with it a bit later on. So today there's going to be a few little mistakes, I've no doubt at all. But that's all good because it shows you exactly what you can expect to see if you pick this game up. Now, if you look at my points, you might think I am possibly the worst ATC on the planet. Penalty points, minus 4,100. Total points, minus 3,620. And that's because I scored 480 points. Now, if I can just clarify why that is. Although I know that you should never have two aircraft on the same runway at the same time, I think when timed to perfection, it's actually an achievement, no? Well, it turns out that no, it's not. It's a mistake that will cost you between 500 and 1,000 minus points. Similar fees apply if you don't address an incoming aircraft in time and force them to go around. And in contrast to this, you could score a whopping 10 points for a faultless takeoff. So it's very difficult to gain points and incredibly easy to lose them. That's the reality of this situation. If, for example, you have the game of your life and your score is way up into the high hundreds, one single mistake can totally cost you the majority of that hard-earned score. I guess it's simulated disciplinary action or something like that. So anyway, this is where you can find your stats, and since Service Pack 1, you can also reset stats by clicking this button here. There's multiplayer in Pro. You won't get this in the normal version, and I haven't tried this yet. I've only been playing for a day, so I'm a bit too rookie to really go and sort of try a multiplayer. But if you guys are interested in seeing it, then I will no doubt develop my skills and try a multiplayer at some point, and I can record that and share that with you guys. If you're interested in seeing something like that, let me know in the comments section below. Now up here, excuse me, I think I have a bit of a cold coming. Up here in the top left hand corner is the help option. Now the manual is available. It opens an online manual. This wasn't present before Service Pack 1, which was a terrible decision, as there are specific things that people do need to know in order to set this game up and actually use it, like using the left shift key, which is the listen to my commands button, which in itself is a terrible decision, but I'll explain that a bit more later. The manual is incredibly important and generally helpful, although it is absolutely plagued with mistakes. Generally, support and information for this title is pretty limited, to be quite frank with you. Okay, let's get some gameplay going. So, with the non-pro and the pro version, in fact, I'm only going to talk about the pro version mostly for this review, because that's really what I think is worth speaking about, those extra features. So, with both versions, though, you do receive 3 airports. You get St. Thomas Airport, and Los Angeles Airport, and Philadelphia Airport. Now, if I click on these, you can see that they're accurately represented. I think these are actually Google images, to be perfectly honest with you. And these have been turned into 3D models. Now, you can see the number of runways. What do we got here? 2, 4, 6, 8 at Philadelphia, all coming in from different angles there. Los Angeles, 2, 4, 6, 8 again, except a little bit more structured, probably easier to cope with, I'd have thought. And St. Thomas Airport with just the one runway, which obviously gives you 2 directions in and out, runway 10 and runway 28. And, I wonder if you can... No, you can't. I was going to say, I wonder if you can start the game without having selected any runways. I wonder what would happen, but actually I've tried that, and no, you can't. You select the active runways by clicking on them, like so. Los Angeles, for example, if you just wanted to do those 4, you could. So, in that sense, it's quite well managed, quite configurable, I should say, which is quite good. But obviously, an airport of this size with that many runways, same with Philadelphia, it's going to be quite demanding, and this is probably the logical place to start. This is the runway I'm going to be using today, primarily because A, I'm a beginner, and B, because I'm trying to do a review at the same time as playing, which makes it even more difficult. The tutorial option here is pretty basic, or maybe even incredibly basic. It does talk you through everything you need to know. It does get you up to speed fairly quickly. Other than that, it doesn't really say very much. You do need to refer to the manual to learn the intricacies of the game, and then even some of the more intricate items you need to kind of figure out and pick up yourself. Traffic density. Now, this wasn't present before Service Pack 1, but I've only played with it at 100%, and on this airport at least, it's not that challenging. But again, it gives you a degree of control over how intense your experience is going to be, I guess. Environment settings, forecast. I'm going to set this to random. I haven't done that before. I've only played on clear, so this could be interesting for me. And time is a 24-hour night and day cycle, and it's quite nice, actually. Let's start around about 5 o'clock and see if we can play long enough to get into some nighttime gaming. Should be starting to get dark around about 5 or 6 o'clock, I assume. Okay, so let's begin.
St. Thomas Tower, 577 Sierra Tango requesting push and start.
Okay, so I'm just going to hit the pause button up here and explain to you what we've got on the screen before I progress with anything else. Now, forgive me, two things I need to mention. One is that I think I have a bit of a cold coming, so I'm struggling to speak a tad, which might require me to take some water breaks, and I might struggle to speak at some points. And next door neighbours are having their roof rebuilt, so there's an awful lot of noise outside right now, but I can't wait any longer to get this review done, so I'm afraid we're just going to have to put up with that. With those two things aside, let's start with the description of the game. Now, you've got 4 panels here, and if you've played something similar to this, you probably know exactly what you're looking at straight away. But for those of you who don't, let me just explain. All of these are draggable. They can be moved anywhere around the screen, although I must say that the default location is actually probably about the best setup that you can have. Up in the top left hand corner we have here the command panel, and if I just go through each of the buttons, then you'll know what they do basically. So button 1 here is the pause button. You can pause the simulation anytime, which is what I've just done. I found that restarting it after you've paused it is a little bit tricky. Some of the buttons are not that responsive to mouse clicks, or so I've found. The history button, if you click on this will just indicate the history, the conversations that you've had with the pilots. Now, incidentally, this only seems to work if you're using the mouse controls and not voice recognition, which is interesting. I think that's a bug because I see no reason why it can't be there, as everything you say is converted to text. So I think that might be a bug, but don't quote me on it. The action camera button, now this is something that I recommend you turn on. I'm going to turn it on for this review, and basically when something interesting happens, it zooms in on the aircraft. So if an aircraft is taking off or landing, it will zoom in on them and you can see all that happening, which is just a nice feature, I guess. Here is the accelerator. Now you can increase the game speed. There was only 1, 2 or 4 I believe before service pack 1. Now we have ×8 and ×16. Now ×4's pretty fast. When it gets busy, even here on this simple airport, ×4 can get pretty hectic. ×8 and ×16 are just insane, unbelievably fast. So I can't imagine you're going to be using those very often. Maybe if there's no planes about, which does happen occasionally, then you'll want to do that. But for now, I'm going to keep that on ×1, and we'll just leave that as is. The lights are controllable from here. Obviously they're not as impressive in the daytime as they would be at night time, but that's a nice little feature. Looks pretty good. This one here is for the ADIRS. Now if you look in the bottom right hand corner, gone, on, gone, on. This is for the D-brights, and this one is for the strip, and I'll explain what each of those are in a moment. This last command is to call the last, so if I hit that now, last plane called pops up here. This incidentally is your command line, let's call that. That's your command line. If you hit clear, it clears the command line. If you hit send, it sends the command line. Now this only really needs to be clicked on or interacted with if you're not using voice recognition. If you're not using voice recognition, or if you have an issue, occasionally you cannot talk to an aircraft for some reason or other. It can't understand you or something along those lines, and you're going to have to use this command panel to deal with that situation. Now when you click this button, it's supposed to ask the last airplane to repeat their command, and you can speak it in, although I'm having some mixed degrees of success with that. I find that speaking it in sometimes doesn't work at all. Help button. This help button basically just opens the online manual, which I spoke to you about something earlier. This is the timer. and you'll see when I unpause it, it's literally real time. So you can set this to your actual time that you're currently playing at and sort of experience a real life 24-hour cycle, I guess. This is your score, how many points you've scored, and as I say, earning points is quite difficult. Losing points, incredibly easy. Incredibly easy. And this here just displays the wind speed. Now, this is relevant, but probably not for beginners. Tower 3D Pro is a simulator, but it's not a hardcore simulator. It does use call signs and phonetic alphabet, but it's not actually adhering to ICAO standards or anything similar. It's far more realistic than something like Airport Madness that I reviewed a few weeks back, but it's not as fully simulated as other similar titles such as Airport Master, for example. A review on that is coming very soon, incidentally. That being said, it's not as simple as avoiding collisions either. If I read you a snippet from the instruction manual, you'll understand the level of detail in which you need to operate. So I'm going to read you a snippet from the Controlling Departures section. Telling aircraft it's okay to take off as soon as they arrive at the runway isn't all there is to being a controller. Your role is to assure adequate aircraft separation and provide reasonable and safe flow of traffic away from the airport to avoid conflicts with arriving aircraft. This is done by properly spacing inbound aircraft, discussed later, and sequencing departures into the traffic flow. Aircraft separation is generally defined by the phase of flight the aircraft is currently in, takeoff, climb, cruise, descent and landing, and the size of aircraft. Aircraft are categorized according to weight. Category 1, under 41,000 pounds gross weight, that's a small flight. Category 2, between 41,000 and 255,000 pounds. Category 3 is anything over 255,000 pounds. As you are the tower controller, you are responsible for assuring safe separation distances. As such, you must know the category of each aircraft assigned. With this knowledge, the distance between takeoffs can be figured. This is how complex this game gets. Prior to giving the clearance to takeoff, you must satisfy the following aircraft criteria. When the aircraft wanting to take off is Category 1 and the aircraft taking off prior to it is Category 1, the departing aircraft is past the departure end of the runway, or the prior aircraft has left the runway surface and is at least 3,000 feet ahead of the aircraft wishing to take off. When the aircraft wanting to take off is Category 1 and the aircraft taking off prior to it is Category 2, the prior aircraft has left the runway surface and is at least 3,000 metres ahead of the aircraft wishing to take off. When the aircraft wanted to, and it goes on and on and on. There is an awful lot of information that you need to be able to retain and understand and operate on very quickly. Air traffic control is not a simple process, and if you're interested in air traffic control, then this is a great starting point. It will really get you disciplined in the right areas, I'd say. Now, let's get back to the game. Okay, so I'll quickly just cover what these other three squares are, if you will. The strip. This basically is the strip of information, gives you details about the aircraft, and you have departures and arrivals. This is absolutely critical because it's so easy to lose track of where you are. This thing is automated, you don't really have to do anything. You can, of course, select an aircraft by clicking on here. I don't know how to click off it, there we go. Or you can click down here in the ADIRS. This is obviously the ground. This will indicate to you where all of the ground aircraft are, and you can see if we zoom in that we only have one aircraft at the moment, but we have numerous taxiways, and in order to, I mean, this is quite simple. He's just going to come out of here and via taxiway G is going to go to runway 28, but you can bring in him here, runway F or Echo, I should say, Foxtrot and Echo, and it's pretty straightforward in that sense. Yeah, not too much complexity to discuss just yet it can become very complex. I'm going to try and show you some basic commands, and I'm going to attempt some more complex ones, and we'll see how we get on. Over here, the D-Bright. Now this is aircraft that are in the sky, and indicates here the expected direction of travel. So planes will be coming in this way to land down on runway 28, I think is the active runway at the moment. Each of these rings indicate 5-mile radius, so that gives you an indication of how much time you've got before an aircraft is due to land. You can zoom in, you can zoom out. I'll show you an example on here. You can make the text larger or smaller, and you can also zoom in like this, although it's just easier to do it with the mouse, I think. You can reposition it. I'm not entirely sure what that thing does. Doesn't seem to do anything. Or, now this is one of the things that's quite cool. This is only available in the Pro version, is you can actually strip this out. Now, you're not going to see this, unfortunately. And that has popped up on my second screen. So that is now massive, and I can see that really clearly. You can do the same with the D-Bright on this side. And just to make sure that I haven't lost track of you, because I'm not sure how my recording software is going to cope with that having happened. But the ADIRS is now off this screen, and on my spare screen, I have 3 screens in total, so I can do the same thing with the D-Bright here and have that come off to the left, and that makes life so much easier. It really, really does. But because you guys are watching, and you want to see what's going on, I'm going to keep it on this main screen here. Now, I was going to do all 3 screens for a bit, but it turns out that my recording software can't actually cope with that. And I've just looked at the time. We're like 30 minutes in, and I'm going to edit this down, so maybe 10, 15 minutes hopefully, or 20 minutes, something like that. I try and cut out all my pauses and stutters and yip yap yada yada. So let's actually get on with some gameplay. For this first aircraft, I'm going to do it all up here on the command panel using the mouse so that you can see how that works. And then we'll be doing voice recognition only. So I am a novice at this. Please forgive any mistakes that I make. I will do my best to be coherent. So let's unpause. Looks like maybe we got something coming in over there. Or is that our aircraft? Oh, that's our aircraft down there. Yes. Right, so we're going to say he's requested pushback. Let's see if that last works.
St. Thomas Tower, 577 Sierra Tango requesting push and start.
There we go, 577 Sierra Tango. Now this is interesting. I'm just going to pause this for 1 second. Most of the aircrafts come with airline call signs. Now this aircraft doesn't have an airline call sign. So what it's using is the last 5 digits of its call sign, 577 Sierra Tango. Now, sometimes these are the ones that don't work very well. It doesn't pick up when you use voice recognition. But it's interesting because there's a good 10, 15 that you need to learn, and then occasionally, well, quite often, you'll get passed with these, which are just random numbers. So normally you can group a set of aircraft like Denali or Leslie or FeelThere or Globe, which are, you know, fictitious but similar to real life aircraft, and that makes life a lot easier for you to keep track of things. But you quite often get these as well. 577 Sierra Tango makes life a little bit more difficult. Let's just see if I can call last plane called using voice recognition and see if that works, because as I say, sometimes it really doesn't. Let's just give that a quick test here. Last plane called. Well, that didn't work very well. Last plane called. See, it doesn't seem to register at all. If I say 577 Sierra Tango, you can see that up here in the sorry, I kept talking. You can see up there in the command panel that it pops up and it recognises that we're speaking to it. Right, let's get rid of this plane and then start actually doing some gameplay, shall we? So let's clear. Let's go to 577. Let's say pushback approved, runway 28, and send.
Tailwind is too high, takeoff delayed 577 Sierra Tango.
Okay, so basically, I forgot momentarily that we're supposed to be heading at runway 10 because of the wind. I did mention it earlier, completely forgot. Let's just send him that way. Pushback, expect runway 10, send.
Ground, 10 pushback.
Now you can
approved.
see that the
577
route
Sierra
he's going to
Tango.
take has been highlighted in blue, and that's quite cool. Now he's going to go via taxiway Foxtrot Echo Alpha, and then all the way down to runway 10. Now what we'll do is he'll hold here. Now before service pack 1 they just used to roll out. It's quite funny. They just used to roll out.
577 Sierra Tango ready to taxi.
So okay, let's just continue taxi.
Continue taxi 577 Sierra Tango.
Now what this aircraft will do is it's not particularly smart as AI goes, but it will wait. It won't cross the runway without permission from us. Sometimes it will request permission from you. Most of the time it will just sit there and you have to remember that it's basically getting stuck. Now somewhere down there is this aircraft. Or am I looking completely the wrong way? Where is this aircraft? Oh, I can see it. It's a tiny little thing. Just over here, look. That's the smallest aircraft on the planet. I genuinely could not see that. Now, he should pause at the runway when he gets to about here. And then we'll see if he asks for permission to continue. Or has he stopped here? He seems to have stopped here. Now, for aircrafts as small as this, I mean, how are you supposed to see that? You can't see a thing. And I can't zoom in any further. So it is a bit of an annoyance. Let's just...
Continue taxi 577 Sierra Tango.
slowly catchy the monkey. Now we've only got one aircraft on the ground. Things are very easy and straightforward, but I do want to sort of get you up to grips with what's going on before I start sort of just flying into it, I guess. Flying into it, he says. So he should stop at this runway, but is he going to ask us? Is he going to say, can I have permission to cross the runway? Or is he just going to sit there and expect us to do all the work? Oh no, interestingly, that is obviously where the break point is for this crossover. So that was me giving him permission to cross the runway. Fair enough. Okay, so I'm still learning myself, to be quite fair. Excuse me. I do think I have a cold coming. Right. So I think from now on, we'll go with voice recognition. Now, to activate voice recognition, you press Shift. You'll hear this sound. So that's voice activation on and voice activation off. Now, my advice to you is to keep an eye on the command panel. And when you make a statement, when you make a command, it will pop up there. And when you see the command that you've said has completely finished, then it should be fine. Then it will work. If it doesn't pop up, or if you let go too soon, it's not going to work, and you'll just have to let go and start again. So let's get this chap down to the end here. Let's speed things up a little. Actually, speed things up a lot, because it's a long way to Tipperary. Now you can see that because my focus is on that aircraft, that it tracks it throughout the airport, which is great. Now let's see if we can do this. I have to remember the command now. 577 Sierra Tango, runway 10, cleared for takeoff.
Tailwind is too high, takeoff delayed 577 Sierra Tango.
Tailwind is too high. Oh, right. Even though I've changed. Oh, hang on, that is 10. So can't you just take off into the wind? I wonder if we can send you to 28. Let's try this. 577 Sierra Tango, runway 28.
Tailwind is too high, takeoff delayed 577 Sierra Tango.
Okay, well, I've not experienced this before. I don't really know how to deal with that using the commands that I have at my disposal. Now, if the runway, if it's going west, and I assume that I'm looking at this from a south to north perspective, then why can't we just take off from runway 28?
Tailwind is too high, takeoff delayed 577 Sierra Tango.
We might be stuck here. Now, I'm not sure what these indicate actually. 079 and 012. What does that mean? I don't really know. Let's just speed things up and see if we can perhaps see some fluctuation in the wind here maybe. Well, it changed. I don't think it changed for the better though. Let's try. 577 Sierra Tango, runway 10, cleared for takeoff.
Tailwind is too high, takeoff delayed 577 Sierra Tango.
Still can't take off. Well, you know, this is not a failure really, it's a safety issue. And I assume because the winds are so high we don't have any planes coming in either. So for a tutorial purpose, this is a bit of a pain in the backside, to be quite honest with you. This is, see again, this is because I haven't used clear weather. We've gone for random weather, and that's exactly what we're getting. But having only played this for maybe 3 hours, I haven't encountered weather like this before, and I don't really know how to deal with it. I assume the only thing we can do is wait for the weather to improve. Whether or not it will is beyond me. Okay guys, apologies for that mistake, I guess. I'm not used to playing it on random, so I didn't really know how to cope with that. So I've changed it to clear, and I've set the daytime to 1700. I set it to 5 o'clock in the morning before. Let's try again.
St. Thomas Tower, Magic 8261 requesting push and start.
Magic 8261, pushback accepted. Expect runway 28. Tripped over my words there. Now, the correct term is pushback approved, but I said accepted, and if you watch up the top, it will correct me. So let me try that again, and I'll try and do it wrong. Magic 8261, pushback accepted, expect runway 28. Didn't work that time. Magic 8261, pushback approved, expect runway 28.
Ground, 28 pushback approved. Magic 8261.
Now, it's not a foregone conclusion that voice recognition is going to work. You have to train it. The more you do so, the more accurate it becomes. But for the time being, at least, let's just turn this on so that we get these exciting views when things happen. For the time being, though, I'm just going to play it as is. Now, I don't know how much I'm going to play because this review is actually...
St. Thomas Ground, Magic 8261 ready to taxi.
Magic 8261, continue taxi.
Continue taxi Magic 8261.
The review's quite long already, so the rest of this is probably just going to be gameplay with maybe a conclusion and maybe a few other points as they pop up. One of the most irritating things about this game, I have to say, is when you use the left shift button to issue commands via your voice, you will almost always end up activating sticky keys. An absolute pain in the backside. What's more annoying than that is that you cannot rebind that button. It's set to that, and that's all you've got as an option. It is so infuriating, to be quite honest with you. Now, I don't use sticky buttons ever, so I'm just going to try and figure out how to turn that off, and that will effectively fix that issue. But in the short term, it's going to be a pain in the arse, and I'm sure it will pop up at some point during this gameplay. Now, the AI is fairly limited. It can get stuck, and if you issue the wrong command, or the command you issue is in the incorrect order, then it will stick. It will stay where it is, but it won't inform you that you've made a mistake or ask you for an update or anything. So as far as AI goes, it's pretty thick. I have to say, not very impressive at all. So okay, let's get some gameplay going, and then maybe I'll do a conclusion. Actually, maybe I'll do a conclusion now. We'll get this aircraft off the ground, and then I'll give you my conclusion, and then the rest of the video will be gameplay. And I don't know how long it's going to last, until I get bored or crash or blow up or die. I've never had a collision yet, but I've tried. I have tried. I've just failed to have a collision. Magic 8261, runway 28, cleared for takeoff.
Negative.
Whoops.
Magic 8261.
Magic 8261, runway 28, cleared for takeoff.
Runway 28 cleared for takeoff, Magic 8261.
I think in that instance I let go of the left shift button a bit too early, and it didn't complete the full command in the command panel. So you have to watch out for that. It's pretty accurate, it's impressive in that sense, but it's a little bit slow to confirm what you're saying is what you're saying, if that makes sense. So overall, there's a lot of good features here. Without the voice recognition, I wouldn't rate this game at all. But with the voice recognition and the ability to move the ADIRS and the debright out onto separate screens, the immersion perspective of this game is really, really quite good. This is the very basic, like the beginner's airport, if you will. And there's nothing really that technical that I need to deal with. I think going up to the bigger airports is going to be interesting. There's a lot of DLC that you can download for this. Real colours, real aircraft, not only real aircraft, but real scheduled times. Now, unfortunately, if you send a plane out 6 hours after it was due to depart, you're not actually going to get a massive issue with that. You're just going to lose points, and that's kind of this game all over. It's all about air traffic control. It's about, if you're interested in doing this, if you maybe have aspirations to become an air traffic controller, then maybe this game is perfect for you. Otherwise, I think perhaps not. Okay, let's just deal with this guy. Denali 1041, pushback approved. Expect runway 28.
Ground 28, pushback approved. Denali 1041.
Now the aircraft that's just taken off, we need to hand over to departure, so I'll do that now. Magic 8261, contact departure.
Roger, good day.
That's it, that's that plane gone.
Tower, Magic 8251 with you, runway 10.
Okay, so we got Magic 8251 who wants to come in and land on runway 10. Magic 8251, runway 10 approved for landing.
Negative. Magic 8251.
St. Thomas ground, Denali 1041 ready to taxi.
Now, I'm getting myself confused here because I'm talking to you guys at the same time as playing this game. So I'm going to focus on the game a bit more now, and you can just watch that and see how things flow. I'm going to make mistakes, just accept that. Denali 1041, continue taxi.
Continue taxi Denali 1041.
Magic 8251, runway 10, cleared for landing.
Negative. Magic 8251.
What's your problem then, Magic 8251? Magic 8251, runway 28, cleared for landing.
Negative. Magic 8251.
Okay, this plane is getting on my nerves. What is it you're requesting? Did I miss something?
Negative. Magic 8251.
Now they're actually coming pretty close to each other. I need to turn this guy. I want him to turn left on a heading. What heading do I want? Crikey. Magic 8251, turn left heading 300.
Turn left heading 300, Magic 8251.
That is pretty close. I've not experienced that before. That's the first time I've had to deal with that. Now I'm not sure what altitude this guy's at or what altitude this guy's at. But, oh, hang on. Well, that doesn't make any sense. That's telling me that that aircraft is out there, but that this aircraft is out there. Very confused. I'm going to get rid of this plane. Magic 8251, contact departure.
Roger, good day.
And that's that gone. I probably got myself confused there or something. Apologies if that's what I did. Excuse me. Now you can free zoom around or free scroll around the airport, but primarily you're just going to want to focus on the aircraft that you're speaking with, I guess, unless you're checking to make sure that the taxiways are clear so that you can give accurate information. I like this game a lot. I think without the Pro version additional features, this game would not be worth playing. I find that the click and confirm approach is totally unimmersive and just unresponsive at times, and I just don't like it very much.
St. Thomas Tower, Leslie 2421 requesting push and start.
I highly recommend that you go for the Pro version. Leslie 2421 pushback approved, expect runway 28.
Ground, 28 pushback approved. Leslie 2421.
Now I'm not sure if you're hearing that noise as they're responding to me. That hasn't happened before. That's something new that's happening today. Hopefully that's just a minor bug, but that's the first time I've seen or heard that, to be quite honest with you. Now there are more complex commands that you can issue. You don't have to do these step by step like I'm doing now. I'm going to try and send this guy off in one fell swoop.
St. Thomas ground, Leslie 2421 ready to taxi.
St. Thomas Tower, 151 Charlie Alpha
Knew they were going to
requesting
start
push
speaking.
and start.
Leslie 2421 runway 28 via Alpha. Wow, that was tricky. Let me try that again. Denali 1041 runway 28 cleared for takeoff. Upon reaching altitude 2000, contact departure.
Runway 28 cleared for takeoff upon reaching altitude 2000, contact departure Denali 1041.
Okay, so that's what I was trying to do with the other aircraft. Now, it's about remembering which order in which you need to say this. You can't mix that up at all. It has to come in the order which it is stated on the page. You can use slightly different terms as long as they're fairly similar and everything kind of means the same thing. That seems to work okay, but it takes time to learn these commands and skills before you can just call them out without having to look. Leslie 2421 runway 28 cleared for takeoff. Upon reaching 2000 feet, contact departure. That failed. Leslie 2421 runway 28 cleared for takeoff. Upon reaching 2000 feet. 2000. See, the more complex the commands get, the more likely it is to fall over. So maybe it is better just to say, you know, Leslie 2421 proceed to runway 28.
Negative. Leslie 2421.
To be honest with you, I have no idea why I just said that. Leslie 2421 runway 28 cleared for takeoff.
Runway 28 cleared for takeoff Leslie 2421.
151 Charlie Alpha. Pushback approved. Expect runway 28.
Ground, 28 pushback approved. 151 Charlie Alpha.
Magic 8251. Runway 28 cleared for landing.
St. Thomas ground, 151 Charlie Alpha ready to taxi.
Denali 1041, contact departure.
Roger, good day.
Oh, this aircraft I think must be being controlled by... Oh, I see. This aircraft is being controlled by departure. That's why I can no longer see it in the strip. Question is, who's responsible for them landing? Let's try landing this guy. Magic 8251, runway 28, cleared to land.
Negative. Magic 8251.
Okay, so what do you want then? Magic 8251, runway 10, cleared to land.
Negative. Magic 8251.
What do you want then? Magic 8251, report heading.
Magic 8251. Heading is 9er degrees.
So, are you just flying past? Magic 8251, report position.
Magic 8251. 7 miles west from the airport. St. Thomas Tower. FeelThere 2035 requesting push and start.
FeelThere 2035, pushback approved. Expect runway 28. If you pause for a moment too long, it just kills you. Let me try that again. FeelThere 2035, pushback approved. Expect runway 28.
Ground. 28 pushback approved. FeelThere 2035.
Leslie 2421, runway 28, takeoff approved. (151) Charlie Alpha. Continue taxi. I think that failed. 151 Charlie Alpha, continued taxi.
Continue taxi 151 Charlie Alpha.
FeelThere 2035, continue taxi.
St. Thomas ground. FeelThere 2035 ready to taxi.
Leslie 2421.
Continue taxi FeelThere 2035.
Okay, this seems to be working today. This wasn't working before. So what have we got here? We've got now what? See, look, what is this guy doing here? This Magic 8251. I'm concerned because these two guys are going to be really close. And I can't see the other guy. Anything past sort of air collision alert. Yeah, what do I do? Are they actually going to collide? They didn't collide. So what the hell is this magic aircraft doing? I've said it can land twice. He's not listening to me at all. Now 151 Charlie Alpha is going to have to sit there and wait for this idiot to do whatever it is he's doing. I've no idea what he's doing. Magic 8251. Enter left pattern runway 28.
Enter left pattern runway 28 Magic 8251.
Oh, now you do as I tell you. Very confusing.
St. Thomas Tower. Denali 1289 are requesting push and start.
Now I think that guy was actually trying to land. It's difficult talking to you guys and trying to concentrate on the review as well as playing the game. So maybe I'll just call this the review and do some proper gameplay at a later stage. Denali 1289 pushback approved. Taxi to runway 28 via Alpha. Why didn't... Denali 1289 runway 28 via taxiway Charlie Alpha. Denali 1289 pushback approved. Runway 28 via Charlie Alpha. I give up with that. Denali 1289 pushback approved. Expect runway 28.
Ground 28 pushback approved. Denali 1289er.
Magic 8251. Now what's that guy doing? I have a lot to learn. 151 Charlie Alpha, runway 28 cleared for takeoff.
Runway 28 cleared for takeoff. 151 Charlie Alpha. St. Thomas ground. Denali 1289er ready to taxi.
Denali 1289, proceed.
Continue taxi Denali 1289er.
So I'm going to call that a wrap for the review, guys. In the next couple of weeks, as soon as I can, I guess, I'll put up a proper gameplay video, and you can actually watch and see how well it all works and how well it doesn't work, and so on and so forth. Obviously, although I play this quite well when it's just me playing on my own, I find that talking to you and making reviews at the same time just makes life that little bit more difficult. So thanks very much for watching. I hope you at least got a taste for this game, and in some way I have assisted you somehow. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Goodbye for now.